Hi everyone, welcome to EduSarathi. Hope you are all doing good. So today we will be discussing NCERT series of economics 10th class chapter 2. So we will be discussing the very important topic today. It is the foundation of economics topic. So what is that topic? Okay, first tell me, in our country, in any country, so there are some people who produces, who manufactures and who provide the services. So these are all interconnected. So to understand this, our economists have divided the jobs of these into three major sectors. So the three major sectors are primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. So today we will understand the sectors of economy. So what we will understand? Who produces, manufactures and services. How various sectors function interconnected together to make our society better, our economy grow. So first we will discuss about primary sector. So what is primary sector? The raw materials extraction happens, that is in the primary sector. So how? The primary sector forms the bedrock of any economy. So for any economy, primary sector is the major sector, as the name itself suggests. So then it focuses on the extraction and harvesting of natural resources. So directly from the earth. So for this I can give you a small example. So what is primary sector? We will extract raw materials. So how? From the earth. So for example, a farmer is there. So a farmer grows rice. So what is this? A farmer growing rice? So it is in the primary sector. It forms in the primary sector. So if these primary sector activities provide essential raw materials for all economic sectors. So this is very crucial for food security, energy production, supply chain or manufacturing industries worldwide. So if a farmer grows rice, then only it will come onto our plates and we are gonna have it. So first farmer has to grow it, then it has to get distributed to the people. So then there is another example. For suppose flour. Flour is produced by farmer. Then this goes to a bakery. Then the bakery will do what? It will turn it into a, use it for cake production. So, to produce a cake, what do we need? The major thing? First, we need a raw material. So, the raw material is flour. And the people who are growing wheat or rice to produce the flour, that person is working in the primary sector. So, it is raw material extraction. So, what are the key activities in the primary sector? So, what are the key activities that are involved in the primary sector? So, first one, as we have discussed in the example, it is agriculture. So, in agriculture, how? A farmer growing wheat or rice or anything. So, cultivation of crops, rearing of livestock, and sustainable farming practices. So, in all of these things, agriculture is involved and it is a major thing for the next stage of making goods or service, giving services. Then we have mining, extraction of minerals, ores, precious metals. So, all of these also contribute in the primary sector. What is the example for this? For suppose there is steel. First, we need steel. Then we can use it in automobiles, right? So, first of all, to use it in the automobiles, somebody has to extract the steel. Somebody has to extract the minerals. So, extraction of minerals, ores, metals, all of this happens in the mining. So, this is a primary sector. So, from steel, we can produce a good. So, we can produce a good. Okay. Then we have forestry and fishing. For example, harvesting timber, aquaculture, capturing wild fish stocks from oceans and rivers. So all of these things also come under the primary sector. So these are the activities involved in the primary sector. Next, we will look into Secondary sector. This is a very, very important sector for an economy to grow. So what is there in the secondary sector? So in the secondary sector, we will process the raw material. So very, very important. We will process the raw material into finished goods. Best example of processing raw material into finished goods. What is the best example? See, a farmer gets the cotton and converts it into cloth. So the cotton is extracted. It is in the primary sector. Then the cotton is processed. Then the cotton is processed into cloth. So what is this cloth here? It is the finished good. So the manufacturing sector or the secondary sector will do what? It will convert the raw materials into finished goods. So this involves manufacturing, construction, power generation. So these add significant value to extract the resources. So somebody has to extract the resources. If we just keep the resources like that, there is no point in it. So we have to do what? We have to extract those resources, and we have to convert them into finished goods. So it's the engine of industrialization, creating products we use daily and driving technological advancement. So this is very, very important. Why it is very important? Because majorly the jobs are also divided in the in the secondary sector. So when we have the process doing of converting the raw materials into finished goods, there will be a lot of technology involvement, industries involvement. So these industries will create very good employment opportunities for the people in the country. Okay, then, yeah. So what are the examples of secondary sector include? So we have automobile production, textile mills, food processing, electronics manufacturer. For suppose if we extract silicon, then we need, then we can do some semiconductor chips. We can use them for semiconductor chips, which are very, very important for what? Why are semiconductor chips very important these days? So for all the technological digital devices. So when we have silicon, when it is extracted, and we can use it for doing or building up semiconductor chips, then it will be very helpful for all our digital devices. So next, construction works. So on the construction also we have secondary sector industries involved, like bridges, roads, properties, urban development, all of this. So we will get some cement, you will build a building, then you can give it to rent, or you can do some business there, or you can live there. So that kind of thing is happening through secondary sector. Then we have utilities like generation and distribution of electricity, water, crucial for homes and industries. So for all of these things, like when we generate electricity, gas or water, all of these things are involving in secondary sector. So these are the major activities in secondary sector. Then comes very, very important sector. It is the tertiary sector. So what is tertiary sector? The first thing, primary sector happened. The materials are collected. In the second stage, what happened? The materials are processed into goods. Then in the third stage, somebody has to provide a service to support these two sectors. So it is called the service sector. It does not produce goods. So service sector doesn't produce goods. So it only provides services. Okay, it only provides services. And it supports what? It supports both primary and secondary sectors and directly caters to the needs of the consumers. So this sector is often largest in developed economies. So why it is very largest in the developed economies? Because they already have good technological growth, they already have lot of raw materials. So people are already well developed and have lot of money. So they can go for tourism, culture, education. So the services, like in the tourism sector, we offer services, great good health, medical support, all of these things. So you will understand from these examples. So what are the services majorly provide? Healthcare. So medical services, hospitals, clinic. Even I am providing you a service. I am teaching you. So this is also includes in the service sector. So education, schools, universities, vocational training, research institutions. Then we have financial services, banking, insurance, wealth management, investment, all of these things. Then we have tourism, hotels, travel agencies, entertainment, movies, hospitality, everything. So all of these things also come under the service sector where we provide service. Okay. Yeah, before moving into the formal and informal economy, just tell me which is the very important sector, or which is not like where most of the people in India depend on which sector. So in India, most of the people are working under which sector? So they are working under primary sector. So many of them in India are involved in the primary sector, in agriculture, livestock rearing, all of these things. And in India's GDP, the service sector plays a very major role. So for contributing to the GDP, so the health care, the education, the financial services, tourism, all of these things contribute more percentage to the GDP of our country. But most of the people in India are employed in which one? Most of the people in India are employed in primary sector. Okay, so agriculture is major occupation in India, as we all know. So most of them are involved in this. So we'll look into this. Yes, so what are the different types of economy? So we have formal economy, or the formal sector where people are working, and we have the informal economy. So what is the formal economy? So in the formal economy, people work under registered business. People with legal recognition. Employees benefit from legal protection. So if I am working in a formal, in a government school, so what I will have? I will have a legal recognition, and I will have legal protection. I will have fixed wages. I will have social security. After I retire from that school, I will get pension. So then adherence to labor laws, health and safety standards. Maybe I can get maternity leave in the future if I am working in a government school. So I can have a maternity leave, and I can have pension after my retirement. So I can have all these benefits in a formal sector. So examples, government employees, large factories. For example, there is some big company like Reliance, for example, you are working there. So you will get legal recognition, you will get protection, you will get fixed wages and social security, like that. Then what is the informal economy? So unregistered activities, so lacking legal status. So you can see here, you can see this picture and you will understand. So they don't have any legal protection, right? So they don't have legal protection, they don't have regular wages, they will have irregular wages, and there is no contracts, taxes. So if some person is working as a street vendor, take the example of a street vendor, will he get pension? Will he get regular month salary paid like that? Will he get employment provident fund? Will he get, will she get a maternity leave? No, right? So this is most common in developing economies, we can see. But they don't have any, workers don't have any safeguards. Okay, so they don't have any safeguards. So daily wages from laborers, domestic helpers, street vendors, these are the people mostly which is like which are working in the informal economy. Okay. Yes. Next, we'll look at underemployment. What is underemployment? We have heard about unemployment, but what is underemployment? Is it like unemployment? No. So, it is not unemployment. So, what is underemployment? So, underemployment means a person is employed but not fully utilized according to their skills. But not fully utilized according to their skills, time, or capacity. So what is this, ma'am? It's different from unemployment. Unemployment means you don't have any job. You want to do the job, but you are not getting any job. Then you will feel so frustrated, right? But in underemployment, it is More frustration because job exists but it is not useful. Like it's mostly common in agriculture. We can see mostly in agriculture in India. So especially in rural India, why more people are working than actually needed. So if some workers are removed, output will not decrease. For example, in a farm, 6 people are working, but only 3 are actually required. The extra 3 are disguised underemployed. This is very common in India's rural sector. So there is a farm. So there is a farm. Don't mind my drawing. So in a farm there are 6 people working. So the all the 6 people will get the wages and they will do the work. Even though 3 people are removed, so remaining 3. Even though these 3 people are removed, but still the work will be happening as usual. There is no problem. So there is no problem in productivity. So that is underemployment, where job exists but it is not adequate. Like output will not decrease even we remove those 3 people. So that is called underemployment. They are not utilized. Okay, so like that. For example, I will tell your school example. You are doing a project work. There are 10 people who wants to prepare a chart of, for suppose, Swachh Bharat mission. So you all have to prepare a chart of Swachh Bharat mission painting. So there are 10 people in your project group. But even though 5 people sit there for 1 hour, they can neatly draw the Swachh Bharat painting and write some points about it. The other 5 members are not even required, but still if even if they are there also, there is not even a problem. Okay, so like that, underutilized, they are not utilized. In the same way, it is very common in the rural India, in the farms where people are working but they are not adequately supporting to the productivity of the work. Then, so what did government do? There is a problem, underemployment. So government thought of something. What is that? So that is the Manrega Act. Very, very important act. So what is this Manrega Act? So Manrega is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So when did this come in India? It was passed in 2005. So what does this act do? What is Manrega giving to people? So it is giving 100 days of wage employment per year and to every rural household for unskilled manual work. Okay. So it guarantees 100 days of employment. So you can see in this picture, right? So doing, they are digging this thing for building a canal, maybe a small canal for water distribution. Like that, they will get some small works like planting trees on the highways, roads, and digging canals and water storage, water harvesting. All these small works they will get. Okay, so why was it introduced? So we have discussed India faces rural unemployment. There is lot of unemployment, underemployment, and seasonal distress migration. So you know what, in the rural areas what will happen? Mostly people are dependent on the agriculture. So what will happen? Only those seasons where there is capacity to produce and work in the farms, only only in those seasons they will get the employment opportunities. When there is no work, nothing, in the remaining months they don't have the job. Why? Only during the only during the agriculture season they will have the job. In the other times they don't have the job. So to address this issue, to ensure they are having employment throughout the year, so government has brought this Manrega Act. So it aims to provide livelihood securities. What happens if they only have jobs during the agriculture season, only few days? What will happen? So the other months they don't have income, they will suffer a lot. So to ensure that they are providing livelihood security and reduce rural distress, government has brought this important act.